Be right back when the video starts up. I got to pick a camera. Let's try a camera and S-meter. Oops, the S-meter's not working. And then I've got to figure out my double audios. Anyway, the video is up. Had kind of a big computer crash here. And then I've got to figure out my... All right, well, get rid of that. And I wanted to bring it up because we are at SWL 69. And I don't have that page open. Or I would say hello, Kenny. But Kenny, if you're watching, the first part of the video, we're saying hello to SWL 69 after a big computer crash here. Over to up to Morgan Canyon, SWL 70. SWL 71, stand there in Dallas, Georgia, and I bet he is. I see him right up in the balcony tonight. And I'll refresh, because I'm sure he's got something going on. The video is up, and I'm not sure what it's doing, but it's doing something. I need to fix the S-meter box. Let's get rid of that. We're looking for SWL 72, Radio Boy.
Proxy, Radio Boy.
Okay, I will do that. I will proxy and Radio Boy. Yeah, so right now I'm sort of going through all the things that I have to do to set up, which takes literally an hour because everything comes up kind of wonky. And so we'll just do it live on the fly. Thanks, Joe. I'll get Mike checked in there. SWL 73.
Braco TR.
Hey, the Braco TR, go ahead.
72.
All right, 72 on time. Your radio must have been ringing. Radio Boy, we've got you checked in. And thanks for listening. The other thing I often do is I have everything configured on the screen in a certain area where I can see what's going on. And, of course, all that is sort of out of shape here tonight. Let's go to SWL 74. Miss Jilly, we will get you checked in. Over. Yeah, you're right. I'm hearing the Mexico taxi cabs coming in. The band is wide open. SWL 75. SWL 77.
Well, good evening, Dennis, and good job putting the fire out and keeping things going. And wow, it's been really cool hearing the DX check-ins and the locals making it through the noise. 77 on the good old Tower of Power down here in the Tower District, checking in.
Sounding good. It's amazing how it's almost like 6 meters, Skip, where it just comes in. I mean, you heard Chrissy at the 10 over 9, thinking that was on the Robin, and the guys from British Columbia just sneaking in. And of course, I do not have the Tower of Power. Had you been beaconing, we probably could have been on a little bit longer. But the conditions are in; they're going to fade out, and who knows where they go. Anyway. Up and running as we slowly put things together here. Hello to the video, and hello to the audio, and hello to our stations here in Central California. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
From Wild Wildemar, and maybe Lake Elsinore. I see Lake Elsinore on the list tonight. Could be Richard out there listening in. So I'll get you checked in, Richard. Also, I see Stan SWL 71 as my screen refreshes. I think we're back up on the audio side. We're back up on the video side. SWL 43 also, Crazy Eddie, who was going to try and check in tonight, and I think the skip sort of meshed things up with the conditions. Yeah, I probably could have heard you, Eddie, but I don't know if you would have heard me, but we've got you checked in. The old Tube Radio Network. Let's try SWL 79. And then if that wasn't enough, the local guys doing some line of sight from up in Mariposa, which is, 60, 70 miles away up near Mount Bullion, where there are a lot of broadcast transmitters and microwave dishes, so he knows the area where to go, but he sounded great tonight. Let's try SWL 80. Okay, I need to reconfigure. If I clear the rigs and go to SWL check-ins and hit that, I want to see if I've got my... There we go. There we go. All right, up in the top, we're back up going with all that. So that's up, so people know where they're at. I'm just listening to see if any of the other DX stations coming in. Just to reconfigure, first 8-week period, we did our 00. It's SWL 61, and that is Dean, a Copenhagen kid, here in Central California. Up to page 4. SWL 81, Steve Areno. I will have to look through all the comments here, see who checks in. We'll do a little stopgap item here. So, Steve Areno, if you're listening in, checking in from the super secret location, we've got your X in the square. Over to the ditch banks. I have no idea what condition the ditch banks are in tonight. Hello, Ron.
Yes, 82 checking in, and 58 is here, and I think he went, he said, thanks, Dennis, in the background, so I hope we're getting through all the big DX stations out there, the big AM radio stations tonight.
Yeah, you are. Now, some of them, as you heard, are stations that we actually want to communicate with, and we have done that. 58, I'm getting you checked in as well. So, as a net control operator, when it's just more than a radio and a microphone, imagine your worst nightmare when the whole thing tumbles down. But the show must go on, and it does here, the Gold Tube Radio Network, in our 35, 36 years of doing the best thing, which is just getting on the radio, keying the microphone, and talking to the stations. Thanks from the ditch banks. We've got you checked in.
All right, thanks, Dennis, and good luck. I'm kind of glad this didn't happen last night. All right, take care. 82 from the ditch banks of Iowa, along with 58.
And in addition, what does happen to you, we get some good conditions. And we've had some of our check-ins from Idaho, British Columbia, you name it. So you're a lot better at that than I with the big superstation out there. But sometimes even the micro-milliwatt and mismodulated mud machines get a chance to talk 155.5 miles away. Over to...
This is number 10. Can you hear me?
Yeah, if net control would stop talking long enough, they would hear you. Hello, Chrissy, over.
Hey, we just wanted to see if you could check in. Number 30 is also checking in. And yes, this is on my Robin 23.
All right, the Robin 23 sounding good. 30 is checked in, and again, you are hitting Central California. The cloud is over us with 10 over S9 over.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated, and I will let you continue with the roster.
All right, and I've got the video and the audio up and running, so you will be able to watch and listen to your replay, see your S-meter reading, and know that you are basically as strong as any local station that is checked in tonight. Sounding good, and the Robin is doing excellent. We will get it checked in on the list tonight.
All right, I thank you very much. The Robin T123B, number 10, 73s.
73s. Awesome station tonight. And that'll give us 2 radios that we can check in tonight, that the Robin T123B and the general radio telephone that JT was on tonight. Directed net roll call. We'll be checking in some tube radios. The band is wide open, so it should be a good evening tonight. SWL 83 Epimetheus 83 is probably out there if I scroll up and down my screen. And it's amazing that the chat thing was still going on, even though it wasn't even opened up where I was. So it's good to know that that actually works, and I don't have to be watching that, and I can go back and make sure who is there, and which we will do shortly. Let me scroll up and see who is there. All right, just making sure that if 83 was in. We'll get through the roll call, and I'll go through the list before we do radios just to make sure. SWL84, hello, Jerry. We'll get Jerry and the gang proxied in. Over to SWL85. And we have 86, 87, and 88 with the proxy check-ins. SWL89. SWL90, also a proxy check-in tonight. SWL91, Felix was out there helping me before everything crashed. He was the first one on the video channel to let me know that it was working. When it was working, and it is still working now. And there is Felix from the Bronx staying up late and making sure that everything is still working. I've figured out. I didn't do a thing. It just came back by itself, so don't blame me. Let's go to SWL92. Yeah, you know, JT, I could have used some of your lips. You could have used some of those lips tonight. SWL93. Taking check-ins from anywhere. SWL95. I thought I saw Warthog 95, the Whiskey Romeo 4 Bravo, Orlando, Florida. Looking good. We might even hear Florida tonight. Who knows how wide open the band is. So doing good on the West Coast for sure. SWL 96 out in Kerman. Sometimes Dennis can't get my signal out that way. I will check for his YouTube or Facebook check-in. Let's try SWL 97. And the old Tube Radio Network operator 97 from Boston 97. Jim is checking in tonight. Thanks for being patient. As you can see, we've sort of brought everything up. It's not as fancy as we normally do, but the fact that it's on the air is good enough. Let's go local. SWL 99, Robert.
Here on time, Dennis. 188 Stobies. Can you proxy in Robin for us?
I will do that. Get our proxy in for Mr. Tentmaker. No problem.
10-4. Thank you. Evening time.
Okay, and what I'm going to do now is try and find out. I was going to bring up the Echolink link. Thanks for the check-in, but I've got, I was going to bring up the, as you can hear, I've got an extraneous loop audio going that in theory should be that. As you can hear, no, it's not that. So it's something else, and I cannot bring up the echo. So Tony, I'm going to get you checked in, but I'll come back to you. I've got to figure out why I've got the audio loop on the secondary channel and where it is coming from. And it may take all night to figure out why I am hearing extra stuff on that one. I shouldn't be hearing that on that page. Okay, oh, you know why? I know why. Let me do this. I had this problem before. So now it's gone. So that would give me a chance. So hold on. Because it's going to come back. But this time, so that would give me a chance. There, I can make it go away. It's almost as if OTR control is in control. Now, let's go over to this window and say, hello to Tony. I spent all this time getting the audio to work on the Echolink, so I got to check it out to see if Tony is listening. We're at SWL 100 from KB6GF.
SWL
100, KD4BAO. Thanks for having me on, Dennis. Net Control.
Okay, thanks for standing by. I know you were there early and we checked everything out. The 23 Skidoo Echo Link is up. Might not be getting to a lot of stations there just yet. And I will give out the link in a moment, but Tony is looking and sounding good. Thanks, sir. We got you checked in. Directed net roll call, triple digits, looking for SWL 103. And let's see, there is 78. I just noticed that Lake Elsinore is in. And I thought I saw you on the screen as Lake Elsinore instead of Wildemar. But we did get you checked in, and I see you now. Let's try shortwave listener 109. SWL 110. The band is fading. It'll be interesting to see when it opens back up after the gray line what's going to happen here. SWL 111, Robert out there in Reedley, who tried tonight. We heard him on the pre-stream coming in, but he was saying it's a little bit on the noisy side, so we wanted to get checked in, and indeed you are. Let's try Sangertown, SWL 113.
Station.
And station, I know that guy. Go ahead, sir.
Late check-in as usual, number 79.
SWL 79, you've got the audio control dialed in just right. Don't touch it, and we've got you checked in.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, 79 is in. Let's try Rickshaw, SWL 114.
114, checking in.
All right, loud and clear as always. That radio always sounds good. Got you checked in. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you for the check-in.
I wish my equipment consistently worked as well as Rickshaw's. I'd have no problems. SWL 128. Going over to the other radio list here, if it's still up. And looking for John checking in. And I saw your post of last week confirming my suspicion that anybody that had that type of equipment was in that business. So back in the day, I was like one of the knob turners and breaking the stuff. And then I started hanging around in the engineering shop to find out how to help those guys fix the stuff that I was breaking. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot from guys like you. So it's sort of a dying business now with things the way they are, but it was fun back in the day, and you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's go to SWL 131. And now it's almost completely quiet. SWL 133. SWL 135.
SWL 135, checking in if this thing's still working.
It's still working because you just have a radio and a microphone and no mouse, no internet. It's got to work.
Yeah, it doesn't get any simpler than this.
Yeah, KISS. All right, we'll pick you up on the upcoming radio items of interest. SWL 137 on a proxy check-in for AJ. Boy, this is going to be interesting. Let's see if we can make it up to Tony and Coarsegold, SWL 145.
Yeah, I had a break in the action there. You came right through there, Dennis. 145 checking in.
All right, sounding good. Little break in the action. I got an early call on Friday, so I wasn't able to check in on the net there, but always enjoy it when I can. Thanks for being patient. We've got you checked in the old Tube Radio Network.
Okay, yeah, we don't expect you every week. I called you twice just in case, but we got you in the lineup there, so I knew you were having problems, so I made sure I called you twice just in case. We appreciate you. We need to thank you and understand what you do. Thanks again for all you do, Dennis.
All right, thanks, Tony. Got you checked in. He's like Santa Claus. He makes a list, and he checks it twice. And I always try to be nice and not naughty. The Old Tube Radio Network, Central California, and then the directed net roll call. SWL 147, Neil, who's in the house, Kakalaki checking in. Skip rolled in about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It got wild there for a while, but fading out now. It was what happened here. It was in earlier, but nobody knew about it. I got a radio check from somebody in Northwest Oregon. The 10-meter beacons were in, and then, as you just heard, as we brought the video up after the big crash here, things are going good. So it's going to be fun. This is the beginning of Cycle 25. Who knows what's going to happen later on as sunspots happen. The Carolina Sandhills are looking good, and we've got you checked in. Locally, over to Snow Beast Jr., SWL 188.
Evening time, Dennis. 188 Snow Beast checking in.
All right, Bobby, sounding good on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. Up to, we'll try another Course Gold station and see if I can make it through the noise. SWL 195.
195 checking in. Sounds good up here.
All right, doing something right. They got you checked in, Jim. Mr. Three-Wheeler, as you heard, Jeff from Mariposa checked in earlier. What I'm going to do, and then I'll kind of open it up for locally if anybody wants to check in. I'm going to go through the list here and just let people know. Let's see, DD21, there's OBP, SWL2, I got you in there. BAO from the coast of South Carolina. Jim M. Talking about the chicken lips. Jim, it's always good to have you aboard the Old Tube Radio Network. Paul W. there. You're looking good on the OTR tonight. 23 Skidoo, of course. Chrissy is in. We heard Chrissy direct. No need to scrape anything in there. Boston 97, we did get you. Brown Dog Audio. Now there, I wanted, if Brown Dog Audio, you are in, and we've got you checked in as well. I just have to make sure I find you on my list, but you are there. All right. And then, who else came in? Old Timey Radio, who is on the Old Radio Night tonight. Brown Dog is still in, looking for anybody else. Gary, 28, from Sacramento. The way the skip was in, I was thinking we were going to hear some short skip to Sacramento. Gary, we've got you checked in. And it says, put the pedal to the metal. That happened tonight. Road Dog 507, SWL 41 out of New York. We got you checked in. I figured you were probably out there tonight. The Ditch Banks SSB checking in on that. The Squirrel Chronicles talking to the stations here on, we're on 11. They were on 15 earlier. And I think we're kind of up to date anyway. The stream is up. I'll be able to see the comments. The audio's up, and I'll pay attention. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to listen to 27085 local for a minute or two as we head over to the Tube Radios. If anybody needs to get a check-in or make a comment, go ahead, and we'll be back with Tube Radios on your Old Tube Radio Network. The break OTR, go ahead, over. The break OTR, go ahead, over.
Yeah, break OTR, go ahead.
You never know if it's local or skip, huh? All right, I'm going to reset the stream to tube radio check-ins. I'll be right back.
06, I'll be flag.
Station on the side. Station on the side.
Station on the side, go ahead. The Old Tube Radio Network listening.
On the side.
Station on the side, go ahead. OTR listening.
Station on the side, go ahead for the OTR network. Or not.
Yeah, station on the side, go ahead. OTR listening. We're getting the jingle singers in line here. OTR is listening.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's what I say. Speaking of the jingle singers, let's see if they're actually ready to go here.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you on
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Hey, you know, when all else fails, when the big sunspot cloud comes through and your internet isn't working and all the problems that I had tonight that were associated with zeros and ones aren't happening, guess what? Exactly what happened tonight. The tube radios will be out there talking and working and making communications because that's how it is. And that's how it should be. The Old Tube Radio Network. I am listening for any and all radios.
135. 135.
All right, I've got 135 and 45. Cliff, step up into the air chair. Don't take a transmission just yet. We'll be right with you. You're going to be, if I find my list here, you'll be radio number 1. Paul, I think the conditions are favoring us now. You'll be radio number 2. Should be able to sneak in there. And was there another station for tube radio?
Dennis, this is number 10.
Hey, number 10, let's go right to you from Idaho. If you can hear me, take a transmission on the Robin. Over.
Yes, this is my Robin 23, C123B. It's 11 tubes. And is green, and of course green is the best color for radio, and it's 11 tubes.
11 tubes green and coming in from far away. That is just super sounding. I hope you will be able to watch the replay and listen in. This is about the third time that you've been 10 dB over S9. Take another transmission, enjoying the radio here in Central California.
Okay. Yes, this is the Robin T123B, and thank you very much for letting me take this.
All right, and thank you. As fades out, but no doubt she'll be back in again. SWL10 on the Robin T123B, which I think we actually heard here in town when it was sitting on Harvey's bench. But Harvey, no offense, but it sounds a heck of a lot better beaconing in from Oregon with Chrissy, SWL10 behind the microphone. Thanks, Chrissy. 73 to you and Dwayne up there. A great effort again on the Old Tube Radio Network. All right, and Cliff, thank you for graciously standing by while we take the DX check-in. But we're actually showing the T123B from your collection, so it may have worked out. Anyway, 135, Mr. Green Arrow, please take a transmission.
Oh gosh, no problem there, Dennis. I am all too willing to step aside when we get that kind of check-in. That's what this is all about. Okay, this particular one is from the Elmer Fudd Johnson Corporation in Waseca, Minnesota, and this is the Johnson Viking Messenger, model 242-128, also known as the Silverface Johnson. It's in Sam's number 1. For anybody who's got the Sams. How's it work? Is it still working?
Yeah, it sounds great. The audio is perfect, full fidelity, good signal, no distortion. It's playing well over.
Oh, that's a good thing. Yeah, because this is nothing fancy on the mic here. This is just the stock. It is a Johnson microphone, but it's a dark gray plastic, non-amplified type microphone. And my modulation light is acting a little funny, so I'm never quite sure if it's working right. There is an amber light that comes on that lets you know the radio is turned on. But then above that is a flashing red light, which theoretically lets you know that you're modulating, and it's staying on pretty consistently and just barely flickering, and then sometimes it goes off, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, this only has 5 channels, and we are they're lettered channels, A, B, C, D, and E. I am on channel C, which is channel 11. Back to you.
That's the second radio this evening where C is channel 11. I believe the radio that DD21 that JT was using tonight, the general radio telephone, the C position, and it was also a 5-channel radio, was also channel 11. I think what happens, people put in 9, 10, and 11 sort of falls in the middle of your channel selectors. They go up to 17 or 19 or 23. Great audio. E.F. Johnson was smart. They actually made 3 models of this radio. There was a 6-volt version, a 12-volt version, and a 110-volt version. Like you said, it was the first in Sam's PhotoFax 1. So when the FCC in 1958, 59 opened things up, they were ready to go. And this is a far cry from anybody who knew E.F. Johnson back in the 50s. And making the 80 and 90, 100-pound transmitters. So they did a good job of stuffing all their radio technology into this little loaf of bread box. Over.
Oh, yeah. It is kind of a small radio, as most people know. But like you say, they crammed 10 tubes into this thing. It's got 10 tubes, but only 5 channels. Like I say, it looks like they knew where to put everything. And you know what? Usually on these kind of things, like with my Hallicrafters little phone, I always try to put 11 in the A position. The reason this one is in the C position is because that was the best, most reliable crystal socket in the group. This is entirely crystal controlled. Just rock-bound transmit and receive. No, nothing fancy at all on this radio. Just a volume and squelch, on and off, and change the channel. That's it. But that's the C socket is the one that acted up the least. So that's the only reason I put it in there.
Well, a good choice, as long as it's their channel 11 in there somewhere. I have done net control on my E.F. Johnson Messenger way, way long time ago, and it has the ice cream cone style of static microphone with it. It's hardwired into. But hearing yours and Harvey's tonight, I really want to pull it out and run it through the audio board. I bet it'd be a big screamer. And before you go, I had this problem, and I think Joe mentioned it's sort of a daunting thing that the squelch, the controls are a little bit weird in that the volume is on, not on the on-off switch, it's on the squelch. The squelch is, there's something there that makes, you've got to really pay attention so that you don't turn the squelch up and think the radio's not on.
Yep, and that's exactly what I did earlier this afternoon when I was testing this radio. Yeah, it's on-off squelch, which is weird. And the volume knob just controls volume. And the channel selector just selects channels, but yeah, the on-off knob is also the squelch knob, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I did exactly that. I turned it on, thinking, oh well, you know, let's crank that right on up, and it's like I have no receive. What's going on? So I let it warm up for a little while, still no receive, and then I tried transmitting, and according to all the meters, it's transmitting just fine. You know, it's putting out power, it's got a little forward swing, and well, what's wrong with the receive? Fortunately, before I got too heavy into the testing phase, I turned it down. And yeah, that was the squelch. You gotta turn the. You just click it on, you know, into the on position and leave it there. If you turn it up, you're going to lose your receive. So yeah, that can be frightening.
Yeah, I've did it many times, and Joe says on the with the 223 and the Messenger 2, sort of the same issue. So you've got to be careful. But boy, the radio sounds great. You will enjoy listening to your replay of the E.F. Johnson Messenger, their first enter into the Class D 11-meter citizen band radio service, and sounding good. Back to you for transmission, and then we will continue on with the Old Tube Radio Network to sort of pieced ourselves like Humpty Dumpty, pieced ourselves back together again.
Well, it's good to hear. It's good to have everything working, isn't it? Okay, thanks for letting me check in the Johnson Viking Messenger. That's all it says on the radio. So I don't know if it's technically the Messenger 1 or whatever. It's also in the SAMs. It says it's model 242-128. So thanks for letting me check it in, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, we will be here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thank you, Green Arrow. Paul, are you still hearing me? Hello, 45?
Hey, 45, you're up. Okay. I had to change it over here to get into this frequency. Thanks for putting it in there, Dennis. Anyway, I want to check in my Regency Imperial SSB-DSB-AM-CB radio.
Okay, I think we can make it through the south of the border stations coming through, running the taxis. I think they are Regency Radio, and then after Paul, we'll take a break, check in with the Bob and Steve show and some of our comments online. But I just wanted to get a few radios off the rack here, as they've been standing by through all the technical difficulties from Regency. Probably one of my favorite radios. And it's certainly selfish because I have one myself. We'll find it here for the Regency double sideband AM Imperial. Over.
Yeah, you bet. Waiting for the picture up there. Sure, I'm glad to get that thing back. Yeah, this really is a super radio. Yeah, there it is. That's not mine, but it's one just like it. But that's a better looking one than mine. Anyway, the manufactured date is about 1967. It sold for about $300, $299.00 says. The early Imperial, which this is the late Imperial that I had, it has 13 tubes. I don't know what the change was, but it must have helped it out some. The meter has three functions: single street, voltage, and current. This radio's got everything on it. I know from the old Johnson just keyed up there a minute ago. This has got enough to take care of both of them. The radio's really nice looking. Back to you, let you continue on it.
It is a nice looking radio, very functional, the gold and the black knobs, and it's got the gold bezel around the front. Like you said, the 3-position meter that is SVC, so that's the S meter incoming, the plate voltage and plate current, which you can work with the final control, dipping the plate as it were. All 23 channels. On that radio, I was used to, when I got mine, I was used to my Realistic Navajo, where the channels went from 1 to 23, and you could continuously turn it around from 1 to 23. And when I got my first Regency, or my only Regency, but my first tube radio, I get to that channel 23, because I was a channel hopper back in the day. And then I realized that, doggone it, I got to turn all the way back around to get to channel 1. So I was constantly flipping that channel knob a lot. It's got I think the push-pull audio and the 6 BQ5s, and of course the double sideband suppressed carrier. So a lot of people want to tweak those things up to do 5 or 6 watts, 7 watts dead key, and that's really not the way they work. You want to be a low dead key, and then as we can see on the meter, forward modulating up into the double sideband mode. Back to you for a transmission, Paul. It's sounding good for Radio 2.
Great, I'm glad to hear it. This radio is really, it's amazing how it can do. I've got most of the noise taken out of it. You only, sometimes I get a little bit, but you can just clarify it real good. It's really a super radio. Anyway, thanks for checking it in. So, by the way, it's got a ceramic stock Regency non-amplified microphone. Okay, you just cut off. Back to you.
Yeah, I agree. A great receiver, and like you said, it's got some tricks. You've got the RVFO, so you can actually really rock the station off to either side. I used to do that a lot when Skip was in. If you'd listen to one of the side bands, and you could hear a lot of stations, even if they were being covered up by the noise. Plus, you can flip into one of the upper or lower side bands on the receive. It's a double sideband transmit. It transmits double sideband, but it selects the upper and lower and receive, which is another great way to bring stations in when things aren't going quite well, like tonight. Radio number 2, the Regency Imperial double sideband AM. Thanks for bringing it by.
Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
And next, let's see. I want to go to Bob and Steve are out there. I don't want to miss them tonight.
27.085 OTR Channel 11.
And this is Channel 11, the old tube radio network from Central California and beyond. Something we do every Saturday at 8, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time at this point, where we, as you've been hearing, check in, talk about the classic tube radios from our collectors who take time out of their Saturday evenings to jump into the radio room. And speaking of the radio room, over in Studio B tonight, the Jingle Singers have picked up all the sticks and mowed the yard. There are a lot of little tiny sticks around here from the trees that fall down. Yet there's a lot of pre-prep to mow the yard around here, so you don't have that bad noise from the lawnmower. They took out the trash. How come? It's not Christmas. Why are they doing all that? They swept out the Buick. And the carport really looks good now. Yeah, they take the hose to that thing. You can do it during the summer because it dries out. Don't try it during the winter. The Jingle Singers and all the neighborhood kids had an iced tea and lemonade stand out in the corner. I used to do that. I had a Lohman and Barkley lemonade stand back in the 60s. Lohman and Barkley were a disc jockey duo out of L.A., and they had a special thing you could send away and get your lemonade stand regalia. We did that, had a Lohman and Barkley lemonade stand. I think the police and firemen came by and had a great time. They said that was their favorite corner. Well, that's good. I'm glad that a positive air was going around here in the QTH today. At the bar tonight, for those joining us in the green room from the great state of North Dakota, we might even hear North Dakota tonight. The Jingle Singers made homemade kidney bean salad with ham. I may have to try that. The best ever. Well, I will take your word on that. Leftover iced tea and lemonade, that I will definitely partake of, and all you can eat and drink on that. Good, and good for you. Have a good week. Don't forget to feed the fish. And as always, they thank the Old Tube Radio Network and all the SWLs for being here each week on Channel 11. And I second that. It just doesn't seem like Saturday unless you're in front of the radio on Channel 11. Thank you, Bob and Steve. And, of course, if I didn't say so, the limos are running tonight with the windows open or the air conditioning on or the hot tub or whatever you want to do. They're ready to go. So where are we going next? Oh, let's see. We got any radio check-ins? Looking for radio number 4. And it looks like Chrissy is putting up another recipe. All right, I'll have to see what that is. I missed the beginning of that, but it looks like it's pork with apple nutmeg sauce. I don't know if I'm daring enough for that, but go for it, and I will check out the recipe. Like I said, I did the potato one. It was great. In fact, I had a picture. I showed pictures of the actual stuff coming out of my oven. It was good stuff, too. Smith family, hello to you tonight. I agree with you, Albert. 428 sounding awesome coming into the radio room tonight, and I think the video and audio is up to catch that on the replay when they came in. So the Old Tube Radio, and X4000 is in. Hello, X4000. Yeah, we had the big computer crash right before the beginning of everything, and it took a long time to reboot, but it finally did. And then, of course, it takes hours to bring all the stuff back up, which we finally did. And OTR is back. Oh, you know what I want to do while I have a chance? Let me see if this came back up. Okay, is it under Other? Yes, it is. All right. I don't know if I have audio from this. I'm just going to play it. This was the radio tonight from JT.
Hey, making a lot of noise on Milwaukee there, no doubt about it. Hey, shoot there, that kind of reminded me of some beer I used to drink there, old Milwaukee there, Roger.
This is... Where's the audio? This is JT on Old Radio Night, and you'll have to be watching the video, but the picture is of
Roger,
the...
Now tell me your numbers are handled real quick.
The General Radio Telephone VS2, courtesy of one of our favorite local Old Tube radio operators here, Ray, 360, and the radio looks good. The red light is beaconing, and JT was summoning up Skip tonight on the General Radio Telephone VS2. So that's going to be our radio number 4 tonight at 9:18. And I hope we're able to see more of that on Old Radio Night. So thanks, Ray and JT for bringing that one up. And OTR is looking for radio number 5.
45.
Hey, Paul, the band is cooperating. Things are, at least they're quiet down here in the Flatlands. You may still be hearing some skip out that way, but go ahead with your radio over.
Good. We can probably get through with my ears better than yours. This voice is about got me. But I can hear you well. That is BGT range gain 2. Number 2.
Okay, the Regency range gain 2, and this one is definitely some double sideband DSB suppressed carrier. In fact, the only time I hear you is when you're talking. You're basically not putting out much of a carrier at all. But as we will see, the Regency range gain 2 is basically a Regency Imperial without the sideband. So go ahead and take a transmission.
Okay. Yeah, this is very similar to the one I just checked in, the Imperial. It's strange. This one here, you have to tune this one differently than the Imperial, or something's wrong. I don't know what it was. But I can't tune the Imperial like you have to tune this one. This thing, you got to tune it 2.6
Yeah, as I mentioned before, a lot of people, because you can tune these things to 7 or 8 watts unmodulated, but then you've got no headroom and you've sort of defeated the purpose of the double sideband suppressed carrier. So keep your carrier low and you will get just what you have. This, like I said, this one, for some reason, really has the suppressed carrier. Almost, a lot of people might say, you know what, you sound like you're talking sideband, but we know you are an AM. The AM, I guess this is basically the AM version of the Regency Imperial, but looks very, very similar if you take off the case, minus either 1 or 2 tubes for the product detector and something else. And of course, it doesn't have the sideband selector. Doing a good job here on channel 11 for the Regency Range Gain 2. This came out in 1965, and I think the Imperial came out late 66 or 1967. And as on the video, you can tell it doesn't have. Typically, they didn't come out with all the fancy knobs like the Regency did. Go ahead. But Paul, if you can hear me, you are radio number 5 with the Regency Range Gain 2. Over.
Okay. Well, they just about got you, for sure. So I think I'll just go ahead and let them have it. Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by from up in North Fork. That's Paul, radio number 5 at about 9:20 Pacific Daylight Time with the Regency. Not the Imperial, but the Regency Range Gain 2. Just a lot like the Imperial. Thanks for bringing it by. And I do have a breaking station for the SWL list. I think that is 24. Go ahead.
24, checking in.
All right, we got you checked in. Perfect timing. You missed all the calamity on my end, and you've missed most of the skip. So making it an easy check-in tonight. Thanks for stopping by, Joseph. And let's also get SWL 96. Dennis, I thought I might have heard you in earlier, but I don't think you were hearing me from Kerman. SWL 96 is checking in, so I got you out there from Kerman. If you can hear me on the radio or on the audio stream, you are checked in, and I'll put the number up. Where is it? No, the number up to prove it, right there. OTR listing for radio number 6.
Very good, OTR.
I want to say hello to Popcorn 913. I'm going to have some popcorn after I get out of the air chair tonight. The break OTR, hello from the west side.
Roger. Okay. Number 20 on my Johnson Viking, or sometimes referred to as the Messenger 1. This is the one I've got, and it's got the wired-in microphone, although I've got a amplified D104 wired to it. It's been this way for like 30 years, so there you go. And it possibly has a 20-some-odd-year-old battery in the mic.
Wow, well, make sure it doesn't have the white, crusty corrosion. Otherwise, it's working well. What did I put up? Oh, this is an ad. Sort of like a business for the business band radios. The audio is really good. I bet if you put that thing on a watt meter, but we're not going to tell anybody. If you put that on a watt meter, you are definitely more than 4 watts DC input or coming out of that thing, or DC output rather. 5 watts DC input, but I bet you got more than 4 watts coming out of that thing stock.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Well, it's about 5 swinging to hell, around 13. Now, it takes a 12 BW4 rectifier tube. I've replaced the tube with 2 diodes, and I could use 4, but I'm using 2 because I could only find 2 I can't figure out where all my diodes are, but I found 2 matching diodes. They look big enough, so I put them together and plugged them in the tube socket, and that's what we're running.
Works good. All right, well, keep that in mind. You and Cliff have really got me excited about my messenger radio. I might have to pull it off the shelf and check the caps and maybe bring it in for a tweak and peek, because I think if I could get audio like that through that radio, through the audio setup here, I may have to set it up as the transmitter and figure out some receiver, because that's where I think they fall down a little bit, is in the receive portion. Sometimes if somebody's on an adjacent channel, you will hear them like they are on the channel that you are on. But transmitter-wise, a good deal here at what is it, 926, the Old Tube Radio Network. It says on the ad, manufacturers of world's most widely used personal communications transmitters, E.F. Johnson Company from Waseca, Minnesota. The really fancy model that we're showing, and I've seen them before like this, has a red surround or a red color on the 2 squelch and volume knobs. Typically, I don't see that, but the ad is showing that, and I'm wondering if you have the red circular inserts on the controls. Over.
No, I don't have the fancy model. This one just has the chrome front all the way, silver. Now, what's interesting is on the lower left front side of the chassis, they punched a hole for an Amphenol mic plug. For this one, you have to have the mic plugged in. So even though it's wired in, but you have to have the receive wire connected to ground, and for some reason. And even though it has a relay, but I think, yeah. Well, this one has a relay anyway. So it'd be a 4-pin Amphenol connector. The case does not have a hole for it. You can punch a hole and put a connector and then have a plug-in mic. Some of them came that way. I think I have one somewhere that's like that, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that's this one. I'll have another one in a few minutes.
All right, yeah, they were electronic switching. I think all of the Messenger series were electronic switching. And the early radios in 1959, 60, a lot of the first radios, the microphones were wired in. And I don't know if they thought because it was Class D service that it was one less thing for you to do. Don't worry about the microphone. You're not going to be changing it. You're not going to be moving and doing things with the microphone, so wired it in. But that's probably a very common modification, or the common modification for that radio, to find a mic plug wired in so you can plug the microphone in and out. But yeah, a good thing to note, if you have one of these and you take the microphone out, you will lose the receive unless you do something to the, like Harvey did with the receive wire. A great little workhorse, as you can hear. It doesn't look like much. It's very similar to the General Radio Telephone VS2 in its plainness, but it's also very similar to the General Radio VS2 in its awesomeness when you get to the transmitter portion. And 5 channels, and you can only talk on one at a time. As I mentioned before, they had a 6-volt version, a 12-volt version for your mobile, a 110-volt version, and there was actually a series of these with a different model number that were built to run on 10 meters, channelized. And I don't think I've ever talked to somebody on 10 meter AM on a converted Johnson or original Johnson Viking, but I hope to do that coming up on cycle 25 up on the 29 megahertz. Thanks, Harvey, for the E.F. Johnson Viking Messenger Whiteface. I think I said that right.
37. And then I'll go after him on another radio.
All right, we will do that. So, Chris, you will be Radio 7. Step up into the air chair. Harvey, you'll be Radio 8. There are good things happening in the green room, as you well know. As Chris steps up into the air chair and I clear out the video here, my video page, which is right in front of me here, it's all messed up because I have to have all the windows arranged. And when the big computer crash happened, everything just sort of willy-nilly went back up on the screen, and I really couldn't adjust it the way I want. So if things are happening that shouldn't be, that is why. Also, who was it? Somebody mentioned tonight, Smith family. I see you have some new shirt. This is a really old shirt. I want to say this could be 30 years old, but it's sort of there's this summery wacky thing I had on at the time when we had the computer crash, and I did not make it into the trailer. You know, I have a little trailer with a star on it. Where I go in and they do the makeup and dress me up, and I did not make it. I said, forget it. I'm going to work on the problem. I also didn't turn on the lighting tonight, so we're working with like the 60-watt dim bulb. Let's see. I could turn on some. I'm trying to think. Let me see. Can I turn on a light? This one might be on. All right. There's a little side light. You see the little side light there? Yeah. Okay. And you know what? Let me turn on. There's the front light. And I have another top light here, but I want to turn that on. So there's the extra lighting, and now the iris is off. But that's what's going on. So, you know, the show must go on, even if you're not ready, because we have some radios that want to check in, like the one that is coming up now. Hello, Chris.
And hello, Dennis. And Cliff, just to let you know, now I'm on the General. You was asking me earlier. But no, I wasn't then, but now I am. Anyway, Dennis, I would like to check in my General radio telephone, my Super MC11A, 24-channel tuber that glows in the dark, and we are registered with the original handheld stock microphone. Over.
Sounds good. The EF Johnsons are definitely giving the General radio telephones a little run for their money tonight, just running stock audio and sounding good. But there's something about that ECLL 800 that's hard to beat. Radio 7 online with us now. Take another transmission on what is becoming our listeners' favorite radio, the Super MC11A.
Well, I thank them very much that this is their favorite. I kind of like it myself, too.
You have had that for a long time. Is this the also known as the thrift store special?
That indeed is what this is. $17.50 senior citizens discount out the door.
All right, and I say here's Skip coming back in the background. So it pays to be an old guy sometimes, and it pays to be in the right spot. And then we are the benefactors of that as we get to hear the awesomeness of the tube radios wherever they may be from. Super MC11A from General Radio Telephone, beautiful downtown Burbank, and I more times than one or two or three or four tonight I heard Mr. JTDD21 on the old radio night saying that, yeah, I finally got myself one of those General Radio telephones from beautiful downtown Burbank, and he was doing a good job. Thanks, Chris. Take another transmission, and you are Radio 7.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. It's working, and I cannot put my hand on top of this puppy. It is hot. When I mean hot, I mean hot. So anyway, Dennis, I'm turning this off. I'm getting back on my other radio. That ain't going to get so darn hot. So, Dennis, thank you for being there, and I will be out of this radio and on to another.
All right. Looks good. Sounds good. The General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. You know, I just noticed, I'm watching the video, because I did not dress the set. You know, you're doing radio. You don't need to worry about video. But because I did not dress the set tonight, I noticed what JT calls the window cadaver, whatever it is sort of peaking. It's even more ominous. The window cadaver is even more ominous with the shades drawn a little bit. Let's go over to Radio 8 at, what time is it? 9:34. It's later than you think. Hello, Harvey.
Roger. How we doing? Okay. You should be able to hear this radio, I hope. This is the Johnson Messenger 2 Blackface, or just Messenger 2. The Messenger 1, or Viking had a pilot light that lit up, and this one has one, but it had a pilot light and a modulation light mounted horizontally, so it was a little hard to see it. This one's got one mounted vertically behind or just in front of or above the speaker, so you see it through the grill. Kind of gives you a neat little look. This one is 10-channel transmit and receive crystal controlled and 23-channel tunable. And this one, I took the microphone, instead of wiring it directly in, I ran a cable out about 3 inches, put a female mic plug on it, and you can plug mics into that. And yes, it did have the Amphenol hole on the lower left side, and I didn't think to put the plug there. So there you go. Anyway, this one also has the diode pack in it, in place of the 12 BW4 tube. So, but on this one, dead keys at 11, swings to 23.
Yeah, I think they were, like you said, they built them for 10 meters, so they're probably using the same chassis and throttled down. No, this is early days before the FCC started saying, well, wait a minute, we can't accept that type of thing. But they throttled them down for the Class D service. They were probably also in business band service, so, you know, Johnson didn't want to make this radio and that radio, so they just made them and throttled them down. The picture I'm showing here has the microphone cord kind of going under the radio, which I suspect is the wired in. But I also have a picture, and it's sort of like what you're talking about. This one's on the right side of the radio where there's a plug. Looks like it's been cut into the case. So just confirm that would be, if you had a stock radio, that it is definitely should not have a mic connector on it. Is that correct?
Probably not. But since they had this hole on the side for an Amphenol plug, what you had to do on the Messenger 2 was they put a capacitor alongside it. You'd have to take that out, move it. In modern times, you would put 2 smaller ones. It's a double capacitor, twin capacitor, I guess. Whatever. You would move it and put 2 singles in there. Then you could fit the mic plug in. But this one has another little special thing that's plugged into the back of it where it goes. And here it is. How do you like that? It's got the tone alert. There's also a position for standby. A neon light comes in, your receive gets cut off, and the only thing that you hear is another Johnson with a tone alert sending you a call. And it says there, call. You push the switch down, and that makes the tone. And you don't hear anybody else that happens to be talking on that channel. It's just silent, so you're not bothered with anybody else. But when your buddy with an identical radio with this setup calls, they do the call, and then you know it's for you, and then you flip it back to the operate position, and then you talk to your friend. That's how this thing works.
And I'm assuming for it to work sort of as advertised, you have to be a certain signal strength and not far away, and skip band coming in on top of everything. But maybe, you know, back in 1963, if you were using this for business and you had it sitting on the desk like that ad we showed earlier, you would actually want it like that. You'd want to have your base to unit 1, and have the tone call come in and alert you that you're picking up the parts or whatever. So the other thing, you said that as an external piece, an external box. I actually had a rear view of the radio where it has a plug. Let me bring that back up. There's the power plug, the coax connector, and then there's another plug, stuck into the back that doesn't go anywhere, like a jumper thing. Is it something that plugs into that?
Okay, that's the jumper plug that you put in place of this. That way your radio will operate just fine. And then if you want to use this unit, you unplug, you take that plug out, and this has an identical plug that wired to the unit. You plug it in. Then your radio will work normal with this thing. I also have that plug. I left it in the car. I'll go out and get it later. But now they made a couple of versions of this Johnson Tone Alert, as they call it. And I have 2 others, I think, and I just got to find them. And they will plug into this. Lafayette also made several versions of a call alert, as did Sonar. And I've got 2 of the Lafayettes. I've got to plug them into one of my Lafayettes that'll take it. But anyway, I like this puppy. This one's been sitting for many, many years with the original battery and the mic. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, that's about it. I'll turn it back to you, and I'll have 2 more to go later.
All right, very good. Here's some stations underneath you. Could be Skip coming back in. Found an ad. It's a Canadian ad, but it talks about 23-channel tunable receive, 10-channel transmit or transmit and receive, 2 IF stages, excellent adjacent channel rejection, which I think the Messenger Whiteface did not have. Improved noise limiter circuit, so this was a step up. If you can find one of these, it should be the same transmitter with some, I'm going to say, some fixes on the receive. Plus, it has new modern styling, and as Harvey showed us, even on the ad, it says plug-in provision for tone alert selective calling system. And notice it is not built in; it is a plug-in system, which I think is where the failing happened for General Radio Telephone that had their system built in, the Q-Bird, with a switch on the radio. And that's why the FCC, I'm pretty sure, says, sorry, we don't want you building in the stuff. It needs to be a plug-in external unit, and nothing that's like a noisemaker or something built into the radio. Radio number 8, the E.F. Johnson Messenger 2, sometimes known as the black face, because it just has the bigger, the darker speaker grill as opposed to the more chromy look of the prior model, the Messenger. And still a good radio. If you can find one of those, and one like you can modify, get a little bit more power out, do some great audio, and this unassuming little box will be working Skipland and no problem, just like JT was on the General Radio Telephone tonight. Thanks, Harvey, for bringing it by.
Okie dokie.
And who was it that said they had not, let me put the microphone back, not seen a microphone like that, and somebody correctly stated that is the static microphone, and it came with the radio, or a style like that. I have my Johnson Viking has a regular standard looking microphone, but when I bought it from this gentleman, he also handed me a box that said a static, and it had a microphone exactly like the one we're showing it, and I call it like an ice cream cone style. Looks like an old ice cream cone. You actually talk into the end of it, but that was made by a static and was sort of a standard, or one of the standard microphones you could get with that radio. OTR is standing by.
60.
And 60, stand by. I want to pick up the far out breaker, but you will be next on the radios. Who is the break, OTR? Over. There was a station breaking for OTR. OTR is listening. Yeah, again, with your information, over. The station breaking for OTR, try it again, over. All right, might be Skipland. I'm trying to make sure I take enough pauses to get the skip stations in. But let's go locally to our station that's going to be number 9 on the radio list. Hello, Joe.
Thank you there, Dennis. Let me get a chance here to sneak this one in. Mike Johnson, 223. The Messenger, doggone it, all lit up. Tubes are all warmed up. I think there's 10 of them in there, if I'm not mistaken. And she's ready to go.
And I'm ready to take it down. A perfectly timed radio as we go in chronological order, starting off with the Viking Messenger from Cliff, Green Arrow. Also, just moments ago, the Messenger 2, which was their updated version, and then your radio, which we will get back to in just a moment here at 9:46 Pacific Daylight Time, the Johnson Viking Messenger 223. And there's a reason for those numbers, and we'll talk about that. Back to you for transmission.
Thank you, and doggone it, we are talking on the original stock mic. And she's all lit up, and the old speakers been kind of painted up a little bit, so the little 4x4 speaker is just glowing along with these tubes that are going.
Yeah, it sounds good. Again, I will ask you to pause for a minute. The breaking station for the Old Tube Radio Network. Old Tube Radio Network is listening, over. Is there a station breaking for the Old Tube Radio Network? This is OTR listening, over. I think I'm transmitting at the same time. The station breaking for OTR, go ahead. All right, well, can't say we didn't try, but we'll keep it up. In the meantime, listening to the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. So it is a Messenger 2. We just heard it prior that Harvey had. You look inside, it's a Messenger 2, but they added 23 channels. They added the S meter, and they took out the option for either 6-volt or 12-volt operation. This is strictly a plug-in-the-wall radio, right? You're not running that off a battery.
No, she's definitely plugged in the wall. Nothing else back there to speak of. And doggone it, what we have up front here is a little on and off squelch that turns the radio on. In not too much fancy, but well-lit radio and ready to operate.
And still has the nice audio. I don't know if they, on the 223, I would imagine you might have the same options of pushing a little bit more than the 4 watts output if you wanted, but yours is adjusted very nicely, sounds good, looks good on the meter, and does a good job for Radio 9.
Thank you much, Dennis. I appreciate you letting me check this in, and I'm seeing your picture on the phone there, what you have put out exactly like this one, and I've got the mic in the same position that you see in the picture on the phone. Hey, okay, Dennis, thank you, and hey, let's keep the old Johnsons rolling.
They're doing good tonight. They like the Skipland coming in with those Robins and the Regencies, the Old Tube Radio Network. We're looking for Radio 10. Also listening for your check-ins, your calls. Maybe you're hearing us from Central California. Give us a call. See if we can hear you. OTR. Let me see if the Jingle Singers are here tonight. I'm not sure. Last week we had a surprise attack. Well, no, I wouldn't call it that. We had a surprise visit from Espresso Trucking Company with a world premiere thing. I don't know if they're hanging out in the studio tonight, but I see the Jingle Singers are there. I think they thought they were going to get the night off when the computer crashed, but not so, gang. Go ahead and do your thing here.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
in wonderful
Fresno, California.
And I apologize if the audio is a little bit off tonight. I know I had my receiver turned way up before and didn't turn it down, so the playback may be a bit wonky when you come back to listen. But sometimes those things happen when someone pulls the rug out from under you. Looking for Radio 10.
Hey, Dennis.
This is the basic Dennis, over.
Hey, this is the basic Mr. Root, over.
All right, we will get you
back. Started raining.
We will get you checked in on the SWL list.
All right, thank you.
And I was hearing strange voice. Let me turn this up. Who is that? Was that JT sneaking into my radio? I think.
Yeah, they're Ray. That thing is great.
Oh, he's talking up. There he is. The radio.
I'm putting them on hold, man. This radio's kicking their butt.
That's JT talking about the. There it is. The General Radio Telephone Company, VS2.
How about that lady operator out there? Do you have a copy on South Carolina? How about it? How about that lady operator out there?
See,
Unit
that's what
21
happens.
in South Carolina. We calling you, break.
That's what happens when you're a good-looking guy and you got a great tube radio. You just the ladies want to talk to you. OTR looking for Radio 10. And here comes the skip.
60.
Yeah, I know I can hear you through the DX here, Joe. You have, as you often do, put us into double digits on the radio with this check-in. Go ahead.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'd like to check in my Robin T123B and 11-tube transmitter, and everything is looking good over here, and the old needles just telling me that go hit on Joe, and modulation light is just blinking and winking at me.
Sounding good. Let me just ask, did you hear the awesome T123B checking in from Idaho earlier?
I did.
Can you believe how good that radio sounded?
Yeah, I was amazed of what it was doing and how it was sounding.
Well, you know, yours pretty much sounds like that, too. Now, it's not beaconing in from over 1,000 miles away, but still holding its own with the great, I think those might be plate modulated in the Panasonic chassis realm of things, and looking good in green. Back to you.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not afraid 1 minute to use this radio. If it were a 40 channel sideband, it would be on all the time. I'd be enjoying it. These 11 tubes here would stand up to most radios.
Exactly. As you can hear, the skip starting to come in. So we'll listen. We'll drag our feet a little bit. See if we're back to Idaho, British Columbia. I heard Arizona, maybe Reverend Dr. Cherokee is in there in the meantime. Locally here, looking and talking with some great radios. This one certainly included on the list for number 10, the Robin T123B from Robin from 1972 to 1976, when they would have sold more, but the FCC said if it's a 23-channel radio, we don't want it. Can you believe that?
Oh, boy. Yeah, something's the matter there. Definitely, most definitely. Doggone it. I wonder what was up with that.
Well, it was a manufacturer's thing, and we've approved the 40 channels, and so we're going to make sales of the 23-channel radios illegal, and it really threw a wrench into the works of the manufacturers. They had all these radios that they basically had to dump for cost or below cost and then tool up to make 40 channels. So it was sort of the beginning of the end for a lot of the local USA manufacturers, and then you can kind of see the downfall, and that was really part of it, I think. Take another transmission. We'll be listening. We got some skip check-ins possibly coming in But the Robin T123B is looking good locally and sounding good on the skip tonight. Back to you.
Braco TR. Go ahead.
All right, thanks, Joe, for Radio 10. The Braco TR, go ahead.
Okay, I want to check this one in. Number 20 on a General Radio Telephone Super MC11A amplified custom special 3 gold Turner microphone, desk mic, semi-matches the radio. Looks pretty darn good, I thought, so that's why I run it with it. Anyway, I thought I'd check this one in, and then maybe one more later.
Okay, well, it is later than you think. At least Pacific Daylight Time, 9:56, plus or minus the error of my giant LCD Radio Shack clock that's not quite on the wall, because it probably wouldn't stay there. General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. I like it. You're throttling it back just a bit, which is okay. That's not to say it's not wimpy on the modulation, but it is clear and clean and crisp and great fidelity. So take a transmission.
Okay. Yeah, I've got the gain turned down a bit. It does have the little booster thing, which I'll do, and you can tell me how the fidelity changes. Oh, wait a second. Did I have it up already? Wait. Okay. That's up. I don't know if I already had it up or not. There you go. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. And then that's down. That's the way it should operate all the time.
Okay, it's weird. You know, I may have you do that again. I'll put the S meter because it doesn't look like it does much for the signal. And it does something to the audio, but the audio is good both ways. Not like earlier when we were working with the Johnson where it was just not good. So give that test again.
Okay. This is the radio. It's not that extra range boost I use. This is just the radio. Low side around 4.5 to 15. Where's that thingy? Where'd it go? Come here. There it is. Okay. Now it's about 12 to, about 28 or so. How much of a change did it make?
Doesn't look like it changes much on the signal meter. Again, distance-wise it might, but I don't see any big signal change. And I'm debating what audio I like better. I think I like the original, you know, gentler audio just a bit better.
Okay, that's the way it should run. I tried to do the happy medium when I tuned this between the high and the low. So you get almost maximum output on the low without flat topping the high. You could tune the high so you might not flat top, but then the low would be really low. So I kind of play with it a bit. Anyway, I realized I forgot to change the speaker in it. It's got a bad speaker. I got to change it. Then I'll be happy with this thing. Okay, that's this one. I got one more, and that'll do it.
All right, very good. And I agree with you. I think you've got them both set up. I didn't hear any like it was overdone on either way, and it was very minimal. Probably if I had a different calibration on the S meter, you're a different spot. We'd probably see a little bit more output, but the audio sounds good either way, and I think it's maybe just a skosh. That's a CB term, right? It's just a skosh better on the non-plugged version. Getting some of the SWLs listening in saying great modulation, good old-fashioned. Are the Generals plate? I can't remember if they're plate modulated or not, but I know they run the ECL 800 and the 12AX7, I think, in the audio, so they can't help but sound good.
Roger. They just can't help it. Anyway, check my Golden Beagle in from Browning Lavatories. This is one of my favorite radios right here. I gotta put the mic down. Hang on. Gotta go across the room for a second. There we go. I almost forgot my Browning from Browning Lavatories. Gotta have that with this radio.
Okay, well, it's the sound effect is almost there. The Browning Laboratories R68, T68, the station after the Eagle, the original Eagle, and before the Mark II, sort of elusive. I'm waiting for Jimmy Fielder to give us some production numbers on this. If this was a rarer radio to have than the Mark II, that is to say they produced fewer of these, or fewer than the Golden, or than the Eagle. I'm thinking this is probably one of their in-between rare radio sets, but they always sound good.
Roger. Well, this is the one where I can run the modulator for WAP, but I'm not. They came out with a couple of versions, as you know, the Series A and the Series B. One has the on-air light on the transmitter. The other one has a spotlight on the transmitter. And the other model has the 3-position RF gain switch, while the other one has the variable RF gain switch. And it's in storage, but I have the other model. This is the one with the on-air light and the 3-position switch for RF gain. However, you can swap around the transmitters and receivers, either or, mix them up. It's not a big deal. And you can flush either radio.
Well, we don't want you to do that. Keep it, keep the plug in the flusher and keep it around for a little bit. The Browning, the Golden Eagle by Browning. Maybe that's the correct way to say it. That's the way they say it on the advertisement. The Golden Eagle by Browning, known as the R68, the receiver, the T68, the transmitter. Now, they had an R69, T69. Would that be the Mark II?
That is correct. The Mark II is actually the T69. Now, I hope everybody appreciates the sound effects. It took me all day to run cable from the radio room into the bathroom and to haul this radio on top of the toilet just to do this.
Without injury to you or the radio. So my proverbial hat is off to you, and thanks for Radio 12, the Browning Lavatories Golden Beagle. I'll get that right some of these days.
Okay. Yeah, I got to hurry up and get the radio off so I can kind of take care of business.
Yeah, you've sort of convinced yourself you need to do something. That's what those sound effects will do.
You got it. We'll see you.
And the old tube radio network listening, it is about that time, so let's see if the Jingle Singers have their special It's About Time item.
You're tuned to
OTR.
your diary
Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
As we're counting and amounting, and hello to Captain Robert. Better late than never. We got a late start of sorts due to some technical difficulties, but we're still here and we're getting you checked in. Thanks for stopping by. OTR listening. Radio 13 is up and running, and we'll be cranking down the net here shortly. All right, beaconing into the noise 448 as the conditions fade, but it is a bit quiet. Hello, 448 from the Old Tube Radio Network, over. Yes, right on the verge. He's right in the noise. 448 making the trip back again here into the Old Tube Radio net control from British Columbia. We don't have quite the conditions that we had at the beginning, but they are coming back. So let me sign out. Let me see if there's any other stations that want to take a transmission, check in, and then what I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and sign out from the net, but we might listen in for a little bit to see if any stations want to make it through. So OTR standing by any other station that would like to check in. Even the Mod Squad, I think they're in their gray line right now, so they're probably end up picking up. All right, I see Ross is in. I just refreshed from Fair Oaks, California. We have a Mr. Announcer here at the Old Tube Radio Network that's been with us for, I don't know, a long time. You hear Mr. Announcer on the Old Tube Radio Network. In fact, let me go ahead and play.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
And we'll give the totals here. That's our Mr. Announcer for the Old Tube Radio Network that has been here for, 35 years. Now Ross, 96, is listening in from Fair Oaks, and he was a Mr. Announcer here in the Central Valley for, 40 years, a long time. So from one Mr. Announcer to the other. Have a good evening up there, and I hope that the weather is treating you fine. Where you're at, you get a little bit more of the breeze coming from the bay to cool things down, but thanks for being on the program tonight. And we had some technical difficulties at the beginning that sort of changed things a little bit, but Ross knows about technical difficulties, and is one of those guys that when all else is breaking and falling down, he will sit in the air chair and just continue on. Just continue paddling the boat through the mess. He's one of the best. So, Ross, thanks for checking in tonight. Any last modes of operation before we do some counting and amounting?
Hey, Grace Lockett, see you over there.
Okay, and you can hear the skip is just way down, waiting for the cloud to come over and somebody to come over at 10 dB over S9 like Chrissy did, or 428, or some of our stations checking in tonight. I'll go ahead and read the list and then we'll stand by for a little bit on the old Tube Radio Network. Also trying to refresh the comments here to make sure I get all the check-ins. Also want to check in Mr. Cobra, SWL 13. It is the first week of our 8-week roster. SWL 61 is our new 00. That's Dean, Copenhagen kid, who may or may not know. There's a lot of skip going on. And Paul, 555 Triple Nickel around New Orleans, also listening in tonight. Checking in tonight, 12 radios. The most heard manufacturer I'll get to in a moment. But first, let's go over the SWLs. 12 on page 1, 16 on page 2, 12 on page 3, and 26 on page 4. And I'll go through and make sure that I didn't miss anybody on the side check-in list or on the other check-in list as we were trying to get all the pieces and parts together. Let me see. Let me bring up the REA meter and see if I've got some percentage of modulation. Not too bad. 12 radios tonight. The most heard manufacturer, well, we had 3 General Radio telephones, but the E.F. Johnsons, it's been a while. It's been a while since Waseca, Minnesota, and the E.F. Johnsons were top of the list. Tonight, that was the case. Starting off with the E.F. Johnson Viking Messenger, Green Arrow, sounding really good. That's another radio if you can find one. Any of the Johnsons, the Messenger 2, the 223 is beautiful because it's got all 23 channels on the S meter, but they're internal-wise, they're sort of basically all the same radio. And you can hear tonight, they work well, whether it's from 1959 or 1969. The Regency Imperial double sideband AM, one of my favorite radios. Paul tonight making it through the skip. The Regency is still here, Paul. I don't know if I'll ever get that thing back on the air or not. I guess that was the only sideband radio tonight. Robin, the T123B. This is one from Chrissy up in Idaho with the 5D. I'm going to watch the replay. I think she came in twice, maybe 3 times, but when I got the video going again, one of the first radios to jump in, and I'm thinking, that's got to be local. But good job on the Robin T123B from Chrissy and Dwayne up there in Idaho tonight to checking in on the DX. JT on the General Radio Telephone VS2. You heard it and saw it tonight. Thanks to 360 for providing that for the old radio night down there, where let them know that the West Coast manufacturers, beautiful downtown Burbank, can hold their own to Winnisquam and Waseca. Radio number 5 was Paul on the Regency Range Gain 2, basically an Imperial without the sideband. Thanks, Paul, for the Regencies tonight. We had 2. E.F. Johnson Messenger, the Viking Whiteface from Harvey was Radio 6. Radio 7, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A, the Trash Can Special. Thanks, Chris. Radio 8 tonight, Harvey on the west side with the E.F. Johnson Messenger 2 Blackface. It was an E.F. Johnson kind of night. And they are still making radios, I believe. I think it's one of the only companies still left around that we check in that's still doing something. Not in 11 meters, of course, but for business band stuff. Joe on his E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, so we got the whole line tonight, from the Viking from 1958 to the 1971-72 Messenger 223. Thanks, Joe, also for your Robin T123B, our second of the evening. Radio 10, the one we heard check in earlier was from SWL 10, so Joe made his Radio 10 in honor of Chrissy getting in on the mix tonight. Radio 11, General Radio Telephone Super MCLA 11A number 2 from Harvey. Good audio on that. Listen to the replay, Harvey. I think you'll really be pleased at how it sounded, both with the plug modification and without it. You did a good job, so either way works, but I think without it, the audio is just a bit better. And Radio 12, Harvey on the Golden Eagle, the Browning Golden Beagle R68, T68, something like that. It's the Radio Eagle Mark None. The Old Tube Radio Network, thanks to SearchLawrence.com from the Nixie Tube. Thanks to everybody for your help tonight, and thanks for putting up with a slow start as the computer decided to reset. And so it takes a while for it to come back, and then there are many, many, many things that have to reconfigure that didn't quite get reconfigured tonight. So that's why the control room and your net controller look a bit different tonight, but the show must go on. We check in radios on channel 11, 27085, and that's what we do. Doggone it, and we will not be thwarted by some zeros and ones that don't want to work. Good night, everybody. 73 to Skipland. We'll be listening here from Central California, the old Tube Radio Network standing by.
Is this the Mod Squad frequency?
This is the Mod Squad frequency, and we'll add another SWL check-in onto page number 3 from up on the hill where you might actually be able to hear me.
All right. Link's checking in, AKA 70. Solid?
Yeah, I got it checked in. You had to wait for the long-winded net controller to actually stop talking and get you checked in, which you are.
Thanks, Dennis.
I'm just listening to see where the DX is landing now. All right, well, we did it again.
You got it. We'll see ya. Oh, you may have to proxy me in next week.
I can do that. There's 18. If you're listening, Mikey, I've got you checked in on 18. I saw your post from earlier. And yeah, well, we'll get you proxied or maybe catch you on the crossband. You know how to listen in.
Gotta keep the mic. Now I'm gonna use the range boost. Okay. Yeah. I've gotta be working next week, so you may have to proxy me in there. Okay. Oh, catch you while we catch you.
As I say on 2A radio, Roger, Roger.
Roger, Mike.
Good Trailblazer said I saw y'all again. Bye.
Good night, Dennis. Thank you for the net. And all the radios out there, beautiful. Everything sounded great. Catch you next Saturday.
Okay, we'll be around. Must be hopping up on, I bet it's hopping up on 30A. But we're doing pretty good here on the AM side, too. And let's see, I'm just looking through the comments here. Hello to Keith from Rocky Mountain, Virginia, where I don't know if we've got skip conditions like we do at night, but we've got you checked in. Thanks, thanks, Keith.
What time is it in Mississippi? Break. 12:20. But I ain't asleep yet. But I am.
I wonder if the 10-meter beacons are running. Let me go up to 10 meters before we head out here. That's the British Columbia. That's the VE7MTY. And they were really loud earlier. And they're gone now. In fact, I don't hear much of anything on the beacons here. Running 10 meters here. And if the beacons are there, they are weak. At least for my antenna, but you hear the 11 meters is still in, so our maximum usable frequency is right at 27.5 probably. Very interesting. Wait, just barely. That's the British Columbia beacon at 196.5. 28, 196. Just barely in there. It was really loud earlier. I'm back to 11 meters. And it sounds just like you might expect on a Saturday evening. Okay, 28-0. What is that? Rich, I just saw your comment. Just saw your comment. Let me go back to 27. I don't know what 270875. 28. Again, I don't. My antenna system isn't. Oh, FT8. Is that the frequency for FT8? You usually hear the little squeal, right? Let me tune around. Yeah, because I can get the FT8. That's usually the last thing you hear, right? That's the last thing to go out. Okay, there's 28075. And I'm not hearing what I would think would be any FT8. Rocking it back and forth to listen for the noise. And not hearing it. What does FT8 sound like? Sounds like... It has kind of a whine to it, and I don't have my 40-meter antenna. There it is. Probably sounds like that. That's 7.73, 72. I'm going to say that's what we're listening for. Maybe up on 10, but there's 2875. Don't hear it. All right. I gotta check all this stuff out that's broke around here. And actually, nothing's broke. Yeah, I was on USB about every 15 seconds. All right. Good night, everybody, from the old tube. Still monitoring 28075 on the upper side. I just think that it's too weak. The beacons are not strong. I bet I could have heard it earlier. Channel 11. Good night, everybody, from the old Tube Radio Network. Catch you later. And there is 785. 40 is in. I'm still up and running on the stream, so Larry, I will get you checked in. Actually, I figured you were there. You were there during the big crash. So I've got you checked in. 73. And Larry, I have a question for you. I have a question for you about the FTDX 5000. I think you did the Mars mod for Wayne. And I'm thinking it's just a connection. But anyway, I'll talk to you about that. I've got a question about the Mars mod on an FTDX 5000. Good night, everybody, from your old tube radio network tonight. Oh, you know what? I think I have. Let me turn this guy off. We didn't check the HF radio tonight. The other HF radio. And I'm going to tell you nothing. Not an AM signal at all. Nary an AM signal beaconing on 75 tonight.
IMS Johnny Carson and Jackie Gleason. Smokey and the Bandit.
There's 3905. That sounds like Dennis. He runs the SwapNet?
I think it's been a few months since they got done filming it. Tyrus talked about it a little bit about
Back in S3, so the band's not in great shape tonight. I bet they're running a kilowatt. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Yeah, that's what I thought, Larry. I think it's, the thing is where is that board? I will catch you. I don't need to do anything like that yet. But, yeah, I think it's just like a solder blob. It's like connect. Usually it's remove something. This is like connect the solder blob somewhere, and then you are done. Good night, everybody, from the Old Tube Radio Network. Oh, and Chrissy, I can't turn the radio off. I will look. I tell you, putting the recipe in. I will see. I think it has ingredients that I don't like. I mean, I'll just say that. I think it has stuff in it that I don't like. That if I leave it out, it's like you're leaving out the whole thing. Where the potato thing was excellent, and leaving out the stuff I don't like was no big deal. It'd be like a potato recipe and you don't like potatoes, so you're dead in the water. So we'll see. It looks good. I'll go back and see what it was. I love these OTR recipes. Good night, everybody.